On the southern coast of the Isle of Vylbrand stands the city-state of Limsa Lominsa, a home to pirates, rogues, arcanists, and a formidable navy, and one of the most popular social places in our game. In this video, we will explore the story of Limsa Lominsa, its founding, and what it has to offer today. Our tale starts in the year 874 of the 6th Astral Era. The flagship Galadion set sail from the Rogadin homeland of Airsland after a failed rebellion against a tyrant. The Seawolf crew could not return to their home, so they steered their crippled ship south through unknown waters. And so they drifted for around a year before landing on the southern coast of Vylbrand. On the ship were two Ellison helmsmen, Jen Denevel, the navigator, and an adventurer named Gaila the Gran. These two were tasked with exploring the island, and as they did, they confirmed the land was fertile. So this became the new home. The first settlement was named Lanoska after a helmsman who died from scurvy mere 2 days before they found land. This settlement was led by Admiral Elilvain, who to this day is considered the first admiral of Limsa Lominsa. But the people of Galadion did not stay in the village long. The Kobold tribe in the area, who were there long before them, weren't very keen on getting new neighbors. They kept on attacking the settlement, causing the sailors to eventually retreat back to the broken ship. But these are sea wolves we're talking about. They did not give up. From the Galadion, they began building upwards, linking bridges to some chosen small islands and exposed reef around the bay, and then they built up, and up, setting the foundation for a modern city of Limsa Lominsa. At the start, the city was poor, mostly inhabited by coinless refugees, lacking the skill and resources to make use of the Lanoska natural wealth, especially because the kobolds were really hostile toward the new neighbors. But these people were sailors, so when land offered no way out of poverty, they took to the sea in form of piracy. The age of pirates had started as Limsa Lominsa grew massively, as the people of the city started building warships and began attacking merchant ships sailing the Rotunda Sea. Trade flourished within the city and black market opened to trade in stolen goods. With this, the diversity of citizens grew, most notably the Lalafell Plains folk coming from the South Sea Island to do some trading, and as the pirates would often offer the crew of plundered ships the option to join them, soon the city would also stout a population of Mikotay and Hayur. And as the years passed and the numbers of pirates grew, they began to organize into proper crews. And as the number of crews multiplied, quarrels between them became more common. This uncontrolled growth was bound to end in violence, and so it did in the year 940. And for 2 decades, the city ran red with blood of the feuding pirates. It was not till the year 963 that things changed, when Akasar Rohemerslin became the next admiral of Limsa Lominsa. He could see that their infighting would eventually ruin the city, so he set out to bring the multiple crews together under a set of rules. These became the code, which still stands today, and in basic the rules are: no crew will cheat another of their plunder, no crew will rob a fellow Lominsian, and no crew will sell fellow men into slavery. These simple rules became part of the code, and to enforce it were the Upright Thieves, also known as the Rogues Guild today, a shadowy organization that punishes those who break the code, not in court or by law, but in back alleys and public places. And while in coming years the city laws would change dramatically, the code still stands to this day and is still policed by the very same group as back then. And the admiral was not done there. To face the kobold threat, he placed a tax on trade of plunder. The coin was used to form a navy known as the Knights of the Barracuda. Their force was devoted into defending the city and fighting the kobolds, leading to a time where the Barracuda kept the city safe and the pirates brought it massive wealth. Another one of its changes was the Trident, a new way to deal with the succession of a new admiral. Till this day, usually they waited for the admiral to either die or be killed, and this could lead to some political upheaval and fights for power. Instead, the Triton is a contest used to peacefully determine who would become the next admiral. It is held every 7 years, allowing there to be a regular leadership change. This brought some relative peace to the politics within the city, and even more growth to the nation. And for several hundred years, this system worked. the Triton would produce later, who served for 7 years, though history tells us there were some who stayed longer. Many of the admirals were pirate lords, and their strength allowed them to reign in the rough seafaring city, keeping the city-state united. But it was in the year 1563 of the 6th Astral Era, and the current leader, Merlwyb Blufiswin, won and took the role of the admiral, as he decided to change things drastically. Even being a former pirate herself, having been the leader of the infamous League of Lost Bastards, she declared piracy illegal. It was not done out of malice though, but necessity. The distant Garlean Empire was becoming an ever-growing threat, and she knew if the city-state would stand alone, they would never be able to stand up against the Empire. And sadly, nobody wants to be friends with someone who keeps on robbing them, so piracy was banned, with one caveat though: Garlean ships are still fair game. This decision was very unpopular, and she faced several attempts on her life, but she remained steadfast and steel-willed, managing to win some crews under her side by getting them to understand the importance of cooperating with the other city-states. And those she could not convince, well, they were silenced. Through the years, she has shown great strength as a leader, facing a primal issue in 1565 when the Kobolds summoned the great primal Titan, and the same year the Shahakians summoned Leviathan. She managed to deal with both threats by recruiting mercenaries and using the Barracudas. And this act changed the people's view of her, and by 1572, she was loved by her people, giving her the room to establish the Maelstrom, which is Limsa Lominsa's grand company, and signing the Galatian Accord, which binds all the pirate crews to the Maelstrom, unifying all of Limsa Lominsa under her command. When the 7th Umbral Calamity happened, Merlwyb stood strong with the other leaders at the Battle of Cardeneau, and 5 years later the Warrior of Light had the option to start the story within that city. If you start as the tanking marauder or the magical arcanist, then Limsa Lominsa is your starting city. It also holds the only level 1 class you can join at level 10, which is the Rogue class, letting you step into the shoes of those enforcing the code within the city. And even if you don't start there, the city hosts some great professions to try out. Bead fishing, blacksmithing, armorsmithing, or the culinarian, each holds a proud place within the city and has some interesting lore around them. There is always an excuse to visit Limsa Lominsa. It's one of the most popular areas for players to hang out, pretty much any time of the day, both because of the social groups that tend to hang out there and also because the market is right next to the Aetheryde, making it a handy place to get to the market board. Though beware, sometimes the chat there can be a little bit mature. Just make sure, if you don't like steamier content, avoid reading the chat, and you should be all good to go. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you liked this little cover of Limsa Lominsa. And if you'd like to learn more about the start of Limsa Lominsa, do check out the video I have here to offer, or pick the one that YouTube thinks you would like the best. If you want to make sure to see all my future content, please make sure to subscribe and press the notification bell. And then I simply hope that you have a lovely day.